Morning, guys. So it's nearly 7 a.m. in the UK, very early in the morning. I think I've got about half an hour before the kids attack me. So thought that I'll try and just quickly do a chapter on this, the fairy tale. Priscilla's invention of the truth, her reinvention of the truth. I don't think I'm going to get one of these in, but I will try and do one chapter of that. So welcome to you. My name's Louis. I'm a lifelong Elvis fan. And on this channel, we are now together as a big family on a journey to stick up for Elvis and to search for the truth and any lies being told about Elvis. We are going to break them down and defend Elvis. That is where we are now. That is how the channel has evolved. So just so you know, I don't just do live streams. I also have videos on my channel, and there's, I think, 4,000 of them, all about Elvis Presley's life and anything connected to Elvis, anything. So check them out, guys. I think you'll probably find them quite interesting. But at the moment, the focus of my channel is definitely the live streams at the moment. That is where I'm at. And I've got two very interesting topics today that I'm going to do later on. It's my son's prom day, his graduation day today. So that's going to take me off for a while. But I've got two topics. I want to look into Lisa Marie and the day she died and the timeline there, because I've learned some things that worry me, and I want to go through it with you. Many of you are messaging me saying that you feel that Priscilla Presley was involved in the turning off of the life support machine. So we're going to go through that. So I'm going to do some research on that, and then I'm going to do a live stream just for that later. And then I also want to do a live stream. Many of you keep messaging me that Priscilla did not save Graceland, that Vernon Presley, it was his idea. And some of you have even messaged me that in 1979, Vernon actually did a trial period of opening Graceland, and he was charging $5 just to see if it would work. So I want to look into that, delve into that. Because we all know that Priscilla seems to be taking all the credit for opening Graceland back in '83, I think it was. And she's also saying that she is the reason Graceland was not sold. And I don't think it's true. I don't think she is the reason Graceland was saved. I think there was a lot that went on behind the scenes, but she's taken all the credit for it. And maybe it was because of this deed of trust that she had on Graceland that almost sort of made her a part owner. And she had got this deed of trust because of extreme greed and demanding money from Elvis for a second divorce settlement. So I want to look into that, because if it's true that the only reason she was on that podium launching Graceland is because of secret behind the scenes, and the public didn't know that she was owed this vast amount of money that she literally conned out of Elvis, then we've all been told the wrong story, haven't we? We've all been told a big lie, and that Vernon is the one that should be getting the praise for saving Graceland. So this is another video we're going to do. I'll try and do them both today. I'm not sure. I've still got to do some more research, but we're going to give it a go. And we need a coffee in the morning. Last night, my kids were just hilarious. I tried to do a live stream last night. Some of you may have watched it. And they literally were singing and dancing and climbing on me. And they were hilarious. They really made me laugh. But I've watched it back and I just couldn't stop laughing. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's chapter 7. I'm going to try and whiz through it. I just want to double check on my videos. And by the way, thank you for all the messages I'm getting. I'm getting so many great messages. I had a great one from Cindy Davis. I've had a great one from Debbie Bowen, and the girl who never met the king. Just really, and Stacey has sent me some great messages. All of you guys, just thank you so much. And you do really put some time into these messages. You do, because you know that I'm looking for information, and you guys are giving me information. Very, very grateful. Really appreciate it. So I just want to double check. Let's just make sure we've got the right chapter. I think we're on chapter 7. Let's have a look where we are. We've actually made a lot of lives, a lot, because we're averaging on 2 a day. So the last book read I did, according to this, I'm pretty sure, which have Danny and Teresa Smith. Let's have a look. So, oh yeah, there's more. Thought would be the last time I went and. Right, I'm so trying to believe that they actually were seeing each other. Right, come on, say what chapter it is. I'm pretty sure it's 7. Who's that? Who's that guy? Hi guys. Remember doing a live now? Hi guys. Noisy kids in the background. Yes, Tino, we know. Hi guys, we're back. Just got back from our beach trip. Right. Messy run. It was windy. So, chapter 5. Chapter 5. Yeah, we read. It says chapter 5, and we did 2 chapters that day. Right. So it's definitely chapter 7. Let's get a go, guys. Now I've said it before. I'm not a very good reader. I left school when I was 15. Actually, I will top my coffee up quickly, just so that I read through this with my coffee. Just put a bit of boiling water in it. The kids are asleep, the wife's asleep. Around 7:30 a.m. they will all start banging around. And welcome to my kitchen, guys. Welcome to my humble abode. I've been up about an hour and a half watching Elvis videos on YouTube, trying to get my head round the whole Graceland thing and the whole Lisa Marie thing. So I have started researching. Okay, it was a cold, snowy day in March 1962. Don't forget, we're on chapter 7 of Elvis and Me, the fairy tale book. This is not history. This didn't actually happen. This is Priscilla's rewritten version that she used to try and paint herself as the poor victim and Elvis as the bad guy. This is my opinion. Right. Nearly 2 years since Elvis had left Germany, in the late afternoon, I received a call. So she's basically saying that she hadn't really properly seen him for 2 years. It had been months since we last spoke. I'd like to make arrangements for you to visit me in Los Angeles, he said. Do you think we can work it out? Now, I want to be critical as we go. Now, she gives the impression here that Elvis phones her and Elvis arranges for her to come to Graceland to visit her. But what we also have to throw in the mix here is that she has been very persistent. She is persistent that she wants to go to America and see him. So this was a two-way thing, yeah? Stunned, I blurted, what? I'm not sure. Oh, God, I wasn't expecting this. It's going to take some time, some planning. I didn't believe that. I think she was expecting it. I think she'd really been pushing for it, in my opinion. I didn't think my father could ever be persuaded to let me go. There were several phone calls, and Elvis is trying to say all the right words to please my parents. I had separate talks with my mother, hoping she could help convince my dad. Now, remember, guys, this book says there was a premeditated attempt to make sure that Priscilla visited America and saw Elvis, and especially by the mother in this book. Once again, Elvis met every one of Dad's demands, that we wait until I was out of school for the summer. Elvis sent me first-class round-trip tickets, that he sent my parents an exact itinerary of my daily activities. And for the 2 weeks, I'd be in Los Angeles. Right, so it was Los Angeles that she visited. That's interesting. That I'd be constantly chaperoned and that I write my parents every day. Now, just remind me which house in Los Angeles. I know I should know, but please just say it in the comments that she visited. And a message I had yesterday, which is she visited twice in 1962. I think once was in October and once was in December. Let's have a look. That I'd be constantly chaperoned and I write to my parents every day. The next few months might as well have been years. I marked off each day on the calendar until we would be together. But when the plane landed in Los Angeles, I found the terminal bustling with vacationing students, but I easily spotted Joe Esposito, who was still working for Elvis. It was good to see Joe. His big smile, his warm embrace were comforting. I loved hearing him tell me I looked great. I didn't think I did. The last time Elvis saw me, I had been 14 years old and 5 pounds lighter. I was afraid that he might be disappointed when he saw me, that he might send me home the next day. I got my first glimpse of Los Angeles when we drove in from the airport. It was beautiful, a far cry from the drabness of post-war Germany. As we passed the MGM studios in Culver City, Joe said that's where Elvis films most of his movies. Soon we were speeding along the legendary strip and through a large wrought iron gate of Bel Air. I was entering a world I'd never experienced. Every home along the winding road seemed grander than the one before. You imagine this, guys. You've got Priscilla Presley. I think she might be 16 now. She could be 17. And she's, like she says, the drab world of post-war Germany. And her whole life has been turned upside down in a moment. And she's now driving through LA, driving past MGM studios. You can't even make it up. It literally, for her, is a massive dream, almost like it's unreal. And this bothers me because sometimes the way she talks about Elvis and what she went through, she almost talks about them as if he had done some harm to her, like took advantage of her. But look at the opportunity, the doors that just suddenly opened for her, the world that opened for her, because she was driving through LA to see Elvis. Hi, Entails, how are you? Good morning. You're welcome. Thanks for joining in, mate. I got my coffee. I wanted to try and quickly read a chapter before the kids wake up. Right, we turned in at Elvis's house on Bulgaria Road, a large home modelled after an Italian villa. We were greeted by Elvis's butler. Right, so Elvis actually had a butler. Didn't know that. Who introduced himself as Jimmy. Well, we're going to have to do a video on Jimmy. We're going to have to look Jimmy up. And said, Mrs. P is in the den. As we walked through the door, I could hear loud music playing and people laughing. Joe led me downstairs. Before entering, I took a deep breath. The years of waiting were now over. So this just verifies that, people keep talking about the fact that Elvis met her when she was 14 and trying to make Elvis out to be some kind of paedophile. But 2 years have passed, and nothing sexual has happened between Elvis and Priscilla. So the timeline with age is increasing. And Elvis always made it very clear that, yes, he was very fond of Priscilla and they had a special connection. He definitely had a soft spot for her, but he would only do things in the right way. He wanted to do the right thing. He wasn't going to take advantage of a girl that was way too young. Anyway, in the dim light, I saw people lounging on the couch and others standing over the jukebox, selecting songs. Then I spotted Elvis dressed in dark trousers, a white shirt, a black captain's hat. He was leaning over a pool table, ready to make a shot. I want to run to him, but this room full of people was not the setting that I had dreamed of our first meeting. I continued to stand there and watching him. Now, isn't this the early part where she starts to realize that the Memphis Mafia are a massive part of his life? Anyway, he looked up and saw me, and after a slight pause, his face lit up with a smile. There she is, he shouted, throwing down his cute stick. There's Priscilla. He made his way over to me, picked me up in his arms and kissed me. I held on to him for as long as I could, until he put me down. It's about time, he said, joking. Where have you been all my life? Aware that every eye in the room was on us. I was uncomfortable and embarrassed, and I quickly wiped the tears from my face. Before anyone noticed, Elvis took my hand and introduced me around, and then we sat there together. Do you wish that was you, girls? You girls out there, do you wish that was you? 1962, with Elvis. Baby, I'm so glad you're here. He kept saying, I can't wait to show you around. You've grown up. You look great. Let me look at you. Stand up. As his eyes surveyed me, I became increasingly self-conscious, and I didn't want him to look too long. He might find flaws. He looked terrific, although I was surprised to see that his blondish hair he'd had in the army was now dyed black. He looked thinner and happier. Don't go away, he said. He kissed me lovingly, then returned to the pool table to finish his game. The night seemed to go so slowly, too slowly. Whilst Elvis continued his game, and a few of the girls eased their way over to me and started talking. They said Elvis threw parties almost every night. Hearing this and watching him as the night progressed, I felt out of touch with his new life. And even with the girls told me he talked about me often and even showed my pictures around. Playing pool, Elvis laughed and joked around. And when one of the girls bent over the table to attempt a shot, Elvis poked her in the backside with the pool cue. She shrieked in surprise and everyone laughed. Everyone except me. I couldn't help noticing that there had been a slight change in Elvis. He'd left Germany, a gentle, sensitive, insecure boy. Through the course of the evening, I could see how now he was mischievous and self-confident to the point of cockiness. Okay. He also seemed quick to anger. When a girl cautioned him to watch out for a glass that was perched precariously on the ledge of the pool table, he shot her a dirty look as if to tell her, move the glass yourself. I felt a surge of uneasiness. I was unsure of what to say. Between shots, he came over and gave me an affectionate kiss, as if I was all right, and then moved back for the next shot. Meanwhile, the curious stares of his female admirers never left me. It was 12:30 a.m. I was finally sat down next to me. Now it was like the old days in Germany. He was suggesting that we go to his bedroom. Up the stairs, the first door to your right, he said. The lights are on. I'll be right up. I started to rise. Wait a few minutes until I get up and leave, he said. That way it won't look so obvious. I wasn't sure if I'd like that. I knew he was protecting me, but there were so many pretty girls around. I wanted to make sure everyone knew he was mine, and at least for as long as I was here. I'd waited too long to be discreet, and I just got up and stretched a little politely said good night to everyone, hoping that they would not know exactly where I was going. I mean, my comment here is that he hasn't seen her for a couple of years. Yeah. So she's been invited to visit on a holiday, but she's talking about Elvis as if they're serious boyfriend and girlfriend, that as if Elvis is her possession, belongs to her in this comment. So the truth is they weren't a couple then. They were not. 100% do not think they were a couple in 1962. Elvis was testing the waters, I think. Yeah. And I just think that little paragraph says a lot. It's 12:09 p.m. midnight. Is it? That's funny. And here it's 16 a.m. 7:16 in the morning. You're up very late, Entails. Right. Let's have a look where we go. I wasn't sure if I liked that. I knew he was protecting me, but there were so many pretty girls around. I wanted to make sure everyone knew he was mine, at least for as long as I was here. I'm just reading it again because I think it's important. I waited too long to be discreet. I got up and stretched a little and politely said good night to everyone, hoping they would know exactly where I was. I ran up the stairs and easily found Elvis's bedroom. How different it was from his ordinary-looking quarters in Germany. I never imagined him living in such luxury, thick carpets, exquisite furnishings, but the room had a welcoming, lived-in feel. And then my eyes fell on the king-size bed in the middle of the room. I immediately thought of how many women might have slept there, whose bodies he had embraced and fondled, and even worse, whose lips had passionately pressed his and driven him to ecstasy. I couldn't think of anything more. Have said something at the point what he did right in front of Priscilla. A major fight would have broke out. I don't play the game, be it Elvis or not, so disrespectful to her. Ever since my son was murdered, I can't sleep. Sorry. Oh, I understand this. It's very sad. It's very sad. All you can do is just take one day at a time. That's all you can do. Get through the day and just try and appreciate everything that's good in your life and in that day. So, but I totally understand how you feel, and I send you love. So, I walked over to the French doors, which overlooked the driveway, and saw Elvis's guests exchanging good nights. And as they got into the cars, knowing he'd probably be coming up, I rushed into a large adjoining bathroom. Within 10 minutes, I had jumped in and out of the bathtub, combed my hair, brushed my teeth, and dusted my entire body with some powder I'd found in the medicine cabinet. I put on my favorite blue pajamas and stood motionless before the door leading to the bedroom. I was so apprehensive that I was unable to open the door. This was the moment I had both longed for and feared. I sat down on a chair and remembered when I'd been 14, Elvis had said that I was too young. Now that I was 16, I tried to imagine just what the new Elvis, whom I hardly knew at all, might be expecting. Now, I need to look into this, but I've had messages that she was 17 when she visited. So I'm going to look that up. So obviously it's in this book, it's saying 1962. So we've got to do the maths and find her date of birth and work out how old she would have been. So should we just quickly do that? Because I don't want to say she was 17 if she was 16. I want to try and be right. So Priscilla's date of birth. Priscilla's date of birth. So we got, so it's 24th of May, 1945. So let's work it out, guys. So that is, so let's just, I'm no good at maths, but you work it out. So you add 15 years to that, and then add another 2 for 1962. It doesn't, so according to this, I think she probably was 17. But there is a chance, it doesn't say the month, does it? Let me just, I don't think it says the month, does it? That she visited. Oh, someone did message me and say it was October. Ah, right. Yeah. So this is wrong. She is 17 because she's visiting in May, but the messages I got was that she visited in October and December of 62. So, yeah, unless I'm wrong, guys, you do your own research. In here it says she's 16, but she was 17, I think. I'm not definite. I need confirmation from you guys. So let's have a look. I've lost my place again. I walked over to the French doors, which overlooked the driveway. I saw Elvis guests exchanging good nights, and they got into the cars knowing that he'd probably be coming up soon. I rushed into the large adjoining bathroom. Within 10 minutes, I had jumped in and out of the bathtub, combed my hair, brushed my teeth, and dusted my entire body down. Right, we've read this bit, right? So I was 16. I tried to imagine just what his new Elvis, whom I hardly knew, might be expecting of me. So she clearly said, ever since my son was murdered, I can't sleep. Sorry, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. He's with you. He is still with you, Entails. He's still with you in your heart here. Right. Let's have a look. I'm in the bathroom. I shouted, I'll be just a few more minutes. Don't take too long. I want to see my girl. I still couldn't move. He called again. What are you doing in there, Scylla? No one takes this long to get ready for bed. It was a moment of truth. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door and walked out. Elvis was lying on the bed, facing me. I walked slowly towards him, climbed into bed, and lay down next to him. Our faces were only inches apart. It was such an unexpected moment of tenderness that I was mesmerized looking into his eyes. We lay there for a while, and what seemed like a long time, staring at each other until our eyes filled with tears. Elvis softly touched my face. God, he whispered, you don't know how much I've missed you. You've been an inspiration to me. Don't ask me why, but I haven't been able to put you out of my mind since I left you in Germany. It's been the one thing that has kept me going. Big words, big words. I couldn't hold back any longer. Tears streamed down my face. Elvis took me in his arms and held me close, but I couldn't get close enough. If I could have gotten inside him, I would have. It's going to be all right, baby. I promise you. You're here now, and that's all that matters. We have a good time and not think about you going back. As we lay in the dim light, he soon discovered that I was still as untouched as he left me 2 years ago. So don't forget, in this book, she was definitely not untouched. Now, I'm not saying this book is true and correct, but we are trying to find out if there's any untruth. Do any of you guys believe that Priscilla was still a virgin when she wrote this? So what do you think, guys? Your research is what's finding the truth. Let's have a look. So as we lay in the dim light, he soon discovered I was still as untouched as he'd left me 2 years before. And relieved and pleased, he told me how much this meant to him. It was everything, every feeling I had as a woman to emerge. And I began kissing him passionately, and I wanted him. I was ready to submit entirely to him. He returned my passion. Then abruptly he stopped. Wait a minute, baby, he said, speaking softly. This can get out of hand. Is there anything wrong? I was fearful that I wasn't pleasing him. He shook his head, kissed me again, and then gently put my hand on him. I could feel for myself just how much he desired me, and emotionally and physically, and he pressed his body to mine, and it felt wonderful. Elvis, I want. Elvis, I want you. Elvis, I want you. He put his finger to my lips and whispered, not yet, not now. And she does still say that to this day, that he was determined to not sleep with her until the night of the wedding, really. We have to look forward to it. I'm not going to spoil you. I just want to keep you the way you are for now. There'll be a right time and place when the moment comes. I know it, and I'll know it. Although confused, I wasn't about to argue. He made it clear that this was what he wanted. He made it sound so romantic in a strange way. It was something to look forward to, just as he said. Later that night, he told me that I had to stay with friends of his, George and Shirley and Barris. Although I protested, Elvis said, I don't want you to go back on my promise to your father. Besides, if he found out you were staying with me, he'd make you go right home. It didn't make any sense, but I got out of bed and Elvis had Joe drive me over to the barracks, where I would spend the night reluctantly. And later I found out through one of the wives whom I had befriended that the reason for spending the first night with George and Shirley, apparently Anita had been sent back to Memphis the day before, and Elvis was taking precautions to avoid an awkward situation for himself that might have resulted from the late night phone calls. So, you know, we know that he was still seeing Anita Wood, wasn't he? They hadn't completely split up yet. And, I fully respect the fact that on her first night of visiting Graceland, he did not spend the whole night with her. He was trying to do the right thing, and don't forget, I know that you guys know Elvis was 26 and she was 17, whatever it is. But it was completely normal in the 60s to have a much younger girlfriend. It's completely normal. I know it's not what we do now in 2024, but in those days, if you hadn't married by the time you were 20, 21, you were left on the shelf. That's how they saw things. So they did try and marry you off very young, 16, 17, 18. It's completely normal. So all I see in this is that there's no way anyone can call Elvis a paedophile if he clearly is making it obvious, or Priscilla is clearly making it obvious here, that all they ever did was kiss. And she still says that to this day. So to the people out there that think Elvis is a pervert, actually, this section is quite an honest section that's coming from Priscilla. So she gets a thumbs up from me for this section because it fits with the narrative that most of us Elvis fans know. And that is that Elvis didn't sleep with her until the night of the wedding. He was an old-fashioned guy with religious values. Yeah, so I like that. So we're up to chapter 8. The kids are going to start waking up now. So I'm not going to do chapter 8 at the moment. I actually enjoyed that. I thought that was a bit easier to read, because I find this a little bit of a struggle. So let's just see where we are. I'm trying to remember what chapter we were on. Let's see if I can just... So Child Bride. So Fantasies of Elvis. I think we had read that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let me just go back a bit. Right. Oh, actually, no. Let's see how many pages it is. Oh, it's only 2 pages. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a go at reading this. So this is Child Bride. It's chapter 4. I just want to... I'll start reading it. There is a chance that we've done chapter 4. How many pages is chapter 5? Yeah, it's quite a few. So I don't want to do chapter 5. I'll just start reading Fantasies of Elvis chapter 4 and just see if we've read it yet. And then I'll have to go and get the kids ready. So it was not that uncommon as these days. After I turned 16 years old, I got married. By the time I was 18, I had 2 beautiful boys. I married a man who was 11 years older than me. I agree. Even in the 70s when I grew up and the 80s, It was completely normal to be married off by the time you were 21. Completely normal, and to an older man. So you're right. And by 1955, when she was 10, Priscilla had attended 6 schools from Connecticut to Maine to New Mexico and to Texas and back. Despite her beauty, or perhaps because of it, she said that she never did fit in. It wasn't like people accepted me with open arms. I was always the odd one, because being in the military, you have to always find where you belong, who the group that was going to make you in, and where your niche is. She started 5th grade at IW Hodham in Austin, where she had attended part of the 2nd grade. It was in Austin that her sister Michelle was born a while and still indulged in Priscilla. Certain rules and chores were strictly enforced. Most of them were necessary because of the family meager finances, and Priscilla unfortunate position as the eldest child, she was often called upon to babysit, and her allowances would be docked for little things. For instance, if she had closed the door the right way and letting call her air out and record a Texas friend, in some ways they were mean to her. Right, we definitely have read this chapter. Let me just... Right, I'm going to jump to this chapter 5. I'm just going to start reading it, and we'll just see. We'll play it by ear. And so let's see. Actually, no, because they're going to come down in a minute. They're going to spoil it. So what we'll do later, we'll come back and we'll read chapter 5 of this. I'll put my marker in because I don't want to keep forgetting the chapters I'm on. So, so I'm getting a feel for the book now, Elvis and Me. Just getting a feel for how she's portraying things. At the moment, I haven't been shocked by anything that she has said. There's a general feeling that she's trying to paint a picture of how things were when she eventually is visiting Graceland. There's nothing in there that I've read that I'm like, how dare you say that? There's a few little things. But generally, it's going down fine. So let's just see how it unfolds. Probably many of you have already read this book. So it's good to just refresh our memories and just see how she's going with this. See how the plot changes. And we will jump in and defend Elvis wherever we can, wherever we feel that what's being written is wrong. And it's actually getting more interesting. I'm starting to enjoy it more. Did you enjoy that? Was it okay for you guys? I know many of you are asleep and will watch this later. So I do have a couple of interesting topics for later. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I want to look into Vernon's involvement on turning Graceland into a living museum and try and understand why the Elvis fans keep messaging me saying that Priscilla was not the reason Elvis was not sold off and had become a living museum, and that it was Vernon's idea. So I want to really look into that. And then the other thing, a standout thing, I keep getting messages saying that Priscilla is the reason the life support machine was turned off for Lisa Marie. So I want to look into those two things. They're my projects for the day. But I will try and come back and read chapter 5 on this book as well. Okay, guys, going to call it a day. Thanks for watching. It's very early in the morning, so I'm going to go and get the kids ready. SK, thanks, Lou. I keep tuning in right after you read the chapter from Priscilla Presley books. I read Elvis and Me years ago, but I'm interested in what is said in Childbride. Yeah, SK, good morning to you. I'm definitely going to go through the Childbride. I will say this. I'm not a great reader, so I actually find Childbride quite a difficult book because the author does use many very long words and she ties them all together, and I sort of find it a bit hard to absorb. Where this book, I find it very easy to understand, very easy to absorb. But I'm still going to give it a go. Yeah, and there's and with the just so you know, with the Lisa Marie, I found a there's a YouTube channel called Spotlight Spy, and I'll see if I can see it on here. And Spotlight Spy, she has done some very detailed, in-depth videos about the day that Lisa Marie died and the timeline. I'll just play a few seconds of it for you before I go. But we're going to go into this in more depth. Oh, thank you, Entails. Thank you. This is just like a taster for what we're going to do later.
Notes on the autopsy, and I had to pull those up, and I'm going to go over that with you guys. There's some stuff I didn't include in the autopsy video that I did before, and that's the timeline of events that I was able to derive from the autopsy report. But I want to go along the day, and let's decide, based on what I've got, when Priscilla may have received a phone call that Lisa Marie had already died. So at 10:37, the 911 call was made. At 10:43, the paramedics were on the scene. At 11:17, she was given CPR and epinephrine. At 11:21, she arrived at the hospital. At 12:28, she had a cardiac arrest. This was a subsequent cardiac arrest, so she had already had one prior to the 911 call. So at 12:28, she had a cardiac arrest. And then at 1 p.m., she had another cardiac arrest. And then at 1:15 p.m., they put in a temporary pacemaker. So 101, heart attack, 1:15, they were able to get circulation, gave her a temporary pacemaker. A couple hours later, 4:48, she started to decline. She had another cardiac arrest. So 4:48 to 5:08 is when she was pronounced dead.
See, so...
And according to TMZ, and TMZ was...
So that's just a taster of what we're going to look into later on the day that poor Lisa Marie passed away and Priscilla Presley's involvement. And we're trying to get at, is it possible that she made the decision to turn the life support machine off? Because many of you are sending me comments about this that involve Scientology. So we're going to look into this later. So I'm going to let the kids go to school, and then I'm going to come back to you guys. Good morning, Filomeno, Barbara in Sydney, Australia. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I know it's 4:38 p.m. where you are, and here in England, it's 7:39 a.m. But I'm going to have to go get the kids ready for school. My wife works as well. So I'm going to be busy for not for long, half an hour, an hour. Then they're all off. Then I want to just do a little bit more research, and I'm going to come back with these two topics that we've got today. Okay, guys, give you a wave. Thanks, Entails. Thanks, SK. Was over and out. See you later.